Hey y'all, hey, my name is Tanya Deshelle, and this is my testimony of how God got me here to Texas. The title of this video will be God's Plan, because it was God's plan to get me here to Texas. It wasn't my plan, it was His plan. So I'm going to give all the honor, all the praise, and all the glory to Him for blessing me to get here to Texas. Before I start the testimony, I would like to share two pieces of scripture. I have here Proverbs chapter 19, verse 21. Many are the plans in the mind of a man, but it's the purpose of the Lord that will stand. And I have Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope. Without further ado, let's get into the testimony. Okay, so I was born and raised in Detroit, Michigan. We lived in Detroit, Michigan for about 16 to 17 years, all of my life then. So we lived on the east side of Detroit, and I was born into a single parent family home. So it was just my mom, me, my sister, and my brother. And sometimes it was an uncle or two and my grandmother before she passed, but it was just mainly the four of us. So how we ended up to Texas is like a bit long story, but I kind of want to give y'all a little bit of the backstory first so you can understand how we got here and how it was all God's plan for sure. So about when I was like 16, 17, my mom decided that she wanted to move to Mississippi. Well, move back to Mississippi, because that's her home state and her hometown. We ended up moving back in 2010 to Durant, Mississippi, my mother's hometown, to stay with family. The reason why we ended up moving to Mississippi was because honestly, my siblings and I were giving my mother a little bit of trouble. I kept getting into fights. I wasn't focused on school or anything. I was in the 11th grade. I was boy crazy. I kept trying to be in a boy's face and things of that sort. And my mom just felt homesick, and she was like, she need help. So she ended up taking us to Mississippi. We moved from Detroit, Michigan to Durant, Mississippi. When we moved to Mississippi, it was a big culture shock. We didn't live in like the bigger cities just yet. We had lived in the country. And moving to Durant was very different. No disrespect to Mississippi, no disrespect to Durant, but it was like a very small town. They only had 2 high schools, and those high schools were like K through 12. So it was different. It was very different. And so we moved to Durant, Mississippi back in 2010, and we ended up only living there for about a year. I graduated high school, and we ended up moving to Jackson, Mississippi, where we had lived for the remainder of the 4 years that we lived in Mississippi. Once we moved to Jackson, I started college. I got my first job. I got my first car. And honestly, I was just ready to just settle in, because we had been here for about a year, and then we moved to a bigger city, or to a big city compared to Durant. It wasn't as big as Detroit, but it was close enough for us. So we ended up moving to Jackson, Mississippi, and I just started to settle in. I had got my first car, I got my first job, I was in college, and so I was just ready to just do what young adults do, start their lives and stuff like that. So I ended up getting pregnant. I ended up getting pregnant with my son in 2012. And it was crazy, because I was like my first or second year of college. And I ended up getting pregnant with my son. And so my mom was helping me and things of that sort. And so out of nowhere, my mom was like, I think I want to move to Texas. And I think I'm going to move to Texas. And then I gave her a bit of pushback, because I was still pregnant, and I was like, I don't know if I want to move to a whole new state. No, a whole new state with a newborn. And then my mom had this crazy idea of moving from where we lived to a shelter. I didn't believe we were going to do that, but my mom actually, we actually did do it. We actually did do it. So we waited until my son was about 1. After he was born, we waited after he was born until he was about 1 to move to Texas. I want to say August or September 2014 is when we had put all our stuff in storage, came with our clothes on our back with maybe 1 or 2 bags, the least amount of things that we could actually have. And we drove here to Texas. We drove to Dallas, Texas to stay in a shelter. Yeah, that's how we got to Texas. We drove in my car. It was my first car, but I ended up giving it back to my mom because she co-signed. And we drove in my car, went to Dallas, and we just started our life there. The very first night that we came to Texas, we stayed in a hotel. It was rough because we didn't know what we was gonna do, where we was going, or anything like that. And it was kind of crazy. The second night we had went to Dallas Life Shelter, where we had to go. We were sitting in that line for felt like hours to get into the shelter. So we went to Dallas Life Shelter, and that's where we had stayed for the next 2 or 3 days. And when we got there, they was telling us like how things were going to go, and if you wanted to stay there, you had to join the program, which you couldn't leave the premises for like a month or 2 or something like that. And we had different plans. We wanted to hit the ground rolling and get jobs and get cars and things of that sort. But they were like, if you want to stay here, you got to either pay $75 per person a week, I think, or you have to do the program. And we didn't have the $75 yet per week for it to stay. And we didn't want to stay on the premises for like a month or so. So we ended up leaving Dallas, and we ended up going to Arlington, where we ended up living at the Arlington Life Shelter for the next 2 to 3 months. We lived at the Arlington Life Shelter for 2 or 3 months. I think it was from like August or September to December. It wasn't the easiest, but I just want to say this, that the whole time that we were homeless, God covered us. He kept us. We never went without food. We never went without a bed to sleep in. We never went without a shelter, like a warm place to live or sleep or anything like that. Although it was a different situation than most people would prefer, we were covered. God kept us the whole entire way. He blessed us to get here safely. He blessed us to have food. He blessed us a place to live, to lay our head, and He kept us protected. None of us got sick at that time. It was the Ebola scare and all that type of stuff. God kept us. He kept us the whole way. That's how I know that it was God's plan for us to get here to Texas. That's why I said that this testimony is God's plan. But yeah, we stayed in the Arlington Life Shelter for about 2 or 3, maybe even 4 months. I don't know. And then they ended up giving me housing for me and my son. And I had got my first apartment, a little 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment in Arlington. And I ended up living there for like a year or 2. We ended up kind of like splitting up a little bit, me and my family, but it's really just history from there. It was crazy. I got my first job at UPS, then I got fired because it was overnight and I'd never done overnight before. I got assistance. I almost got thrown off of assistance because I was doing a whole lot, trying to work, trying to do this, trying to be in a relationship and things of that sort. But one thing that I want to share about us moving to Texas is that I believe that God brought me here so that I can build my relationship with him. A little after, it was like some time passed by, but God led me to end a relationship with someone and start my relationship with him. It was some time passed by, like 3 or 4 years, and I rededicated my life to Christ here in Texas. I felt a strong pull from him to come to him, and I rededicated my life to Christ. I remember I was going through the breakup with the guy that I was then dating, and God was just like pulling me to church. I asked a then friend, to go to church with her, and I ended up rededicating my life to Christ. And then we ended up going to another church where I got discipled and became a disciple maker. And it's just been me and God and me ever since. And I was like, I feel like I don't think I would ever gotten this far with God if he never brought me to Texas. Now, God honestly could have reached me wherever he wanted to. He could have got me in Michigan or Mississippi, but it's like he had my mother take me from Michigan to Mississippi, and then took me out of Mississippi to Texas. Because everything happens for a reason. Nothing just happens. Everything that God does is intentional. I know that I had to go through Mississippi to get my son, because he's a part of my purpose. He's a part of my calling. So I had to get my son. And then he brought me here. And I never thought that I would be a woman of God, a child of God, the way that I am now. And so I've been here for 12 years. My son is 13. He's blessed me with this apartment. He's blessed me with my job. I've been with my job for 7 years, and there's so much more that he has in store for me. I've been trying so hard for the last few years to get this testimony out. And this weekend, I just kept getting confirmation after confirmation that the time is now to give this testimony. Like, I have to give it now. And so I wanted to share this testimony with whomever can see it. Post it on YouTube. This is my very first YouTube video. I just needed to share it. God wanted me to share this. Throughout the whole time from Michigan to Mississippi to Texas, God has kept me and my family. I didn't have a plan. I kind of sort of had a plan, but when I got distracted with the men and the boys and whatever the case may be, God gave me a plan. He gave me a plan. And that's the reason why I had to name this testimony God's plan, because it was never my plan to come to Texas. It was never my plan to go to Mississippi. I was a Detroit girl through and through. My original plan that I was thinking of before I got distracted with the boys was become a nurse, go to Oakland College. I think it was Oakland Community College. I don't know, but I was going to stay on dorm. I was going to work at Wendy's. I was going to go to college, become a nurse, and things of that sort. But God had a whole different plan for me, a whole different plan. And I just want to say, it has not been easy. It has not been easy. I've struggled a lot along the way, but God has kept me. I just want to stress that so much, that God has kept me this whole entire time, the whole entire time. His plan has been better than any plan that I could ever think of or ever come up with. So I hope that this testimony gets to whomever it needs to get to. Again, this is my very first YouTube video. Please comment, subscribe. I will be dropping out more testimonies and more videos if you would like to start this journey with me. I'm just walking in obedience. God wants me to do certain things. He got me here. He has covered me. He has protected me. He has provided for me so much, and now is the time. Now is the time. But yep, that is the testimony of how I got here to Texas. I hope that you guys can listen to it, because I was kind of all over the place, but I just hope that it gets to someone else, to have faith in God and to trust in Him. His plans are so much better than our own plans. Thank you so much for watching, and there will be more. Thank you for coming along with this journey. Until next time, bye y'all.